Welcome to the Personal Life Map Portfolio, Worksheet 7. This is on credit cards and other short-term loans. So in this worksheet, there is a required portion that even if you don't have credit cards, you need to complete. So this worksheet has several parts to it. And I'm going to review the parts and then we'll go back through on how to input data into it. So in the first part, this is where you're going to enter information about your credit cards. The first line in here, shown in yellow, is an example card. This does not translate through to your summary worksheet. This is just for practice. The next 5 lines, where it says your cards number 1 through 5, are for you to enter any existing credit cards that you have at the beginning of year 1. Sections 1.2 through 1.4 are just output sections. There's nothing for you to do here, but what you'll see is this tells you what the repayment terms will be for your card based upon only paying the minimum payment. Output section 1.3 is the amount of payment that you will have if you pay above the monthly minimum payment. And then output section 1.4 is if the difference between those two. So let's take a look and see how that works. So we're going to do the example card. And you see up here in the instructions in yellow, you're going to put in the example card. So in the example card, we're going to put an outstanding balance of $10,000. And that's written right here in the instructions. We're going to put in an interest rate typical for credit cards of 18%. And then in the cell for the minimum percent principal payment, I'm going to put in 1%. And then in the minimum dollar required payment, we're going to put in $20. So this will calculate for me the repayment of this credit card if I just paid the minimum amount based upon these particular terms. And if I go down and look at the output section, you can see that this $10,000 payment will require that I'm going to pay this over 312 months, paying a total of $14,000 in interest. Now, what we want to be able to do is look at what happens if we make a payment above and beyond the minimum required payment. And so you can see here in the instructions, it says enter an additional payment above the minimum payment of $25 in cell J21. So I'm going to put in here $25. And what you can see, the result of that, when I come down to the output section, if I just pay the minimum payment, I'm going to pay a total of $14,235 in interest over the 312-year month loan. But if I just pay a little bit more, instead of a $250 monthly payment, I pay a $275 monthly payment. The total interest that I pay over the life of the loan now is only $8,968. And instead of taking me 312 months to repay, I'm only taking 153 months to repay. So by just adding an additional $25 to my credit card payment, I cut the term of this credit card from 312 months down to 153 months. That's cutting the term in more than half. And if you want to actually see what that difference is, if I come down here to output section 1.4, you can see it shows me for an additional $25, I save 159 months and I save $5,262 in interest over the life. So the purpose of this worksheet is to get you to understand how the repayment terms on my credit cards make a huge difference to how much interest I'm going to pay over the life of that credit card and to how long it's going to take me to pay that credit card off. Now, in this worksheet, you are required to complete the example card based upon the values that are shown in here in the instructions. You're going to complete those in here in the yellow line, and you're going to be able to see the differences which I've just outlined here. Now, the example card does not make any difference to your summary worksheet. This does not get included in your financial plan. But if you have credit cards or you expect that you will have credit card debt at the end of your Point Park career, at the start of year one, you're going to enter those credit cards in here. So these credit cards could be store cards, they could be Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover Card, whatever it is you have. And you're going to put your estimated balance in here at the start of year one. Now, the next part becomes tricky. You're going to need to enter the interest rate and the minimum percent of principal payment due and the minimum dollar payment required for each one of those cards. So the question you're probably asking is, well, where do I get that information? You're going to need to go back to your credit card statement or your credit card agreement. Your credit card statement is something you receive every month. You may not actually receive it in the mail. It may be something that's available to you on your credit card lender's website, but you need to be able to find the monthly statement. You will see most of these terms outlined on the back of the statement. The other place that you can find this would be your credit card agreement. You may have to contact your credit card issuer to be able to get that agreement. But what you'll see is that that credit card agreement is going to spell out all of these terms. How much you have to pay either as a minimum monthly percent of principal or a minimum dollar payment required. So those things should be spelled out in your credit card agreement. And for any credit cards that you have, you should know those terms and you're going to enter them in here. So that's the bulk of Worksheet 7 on credit cards. There is one more part though. Down in the very bottom is I give you a spot to be able to put in any cash advances that you might take out on your credit cards during year one. Now, generally, we discourage using credit card cash advances as a way to borrow money. Generally, it's very expensive. There's a lot of fees to it. So, if you have another means of being able to borrow money, you're going to want to do that. But given your particular circumstance, you may plan on taking out a cash advance on your credit cards. Let me be clear. This is not the same as using your credit cards for purchases. This would only be that if you go to your credit card lender and say, I want to take out cash against my credit card, that you would be putting that value here. So, in the event that you do need to take a cash advance on your credit cards, you would enter in here a description of what that's for, and then you would enter the amount of cash advance that you will be pulling out. And then you do have to recognize that there is usually a cash advance fee. This fee ranges anywhere from 1% to 4%. I've even recently heard cash advance fees as high as 5%. This would be an amount that is added on upfront as a cost to you for borrowing money. This is really the reason you don't want to try to borrow money based upon your credit cards. But go ahead and put that in if you have those. Explain what the purpose of that is, and this information will be totaled up and carry over to your personal life map portfolio summary worksheet. So that is worksheet number 7 on credit cards and short-term loans. As with all personal life map portfolio worksheets, once you are done with a worksheet, you should always come back to your summary worksheet. Again, there's nothing in here for you to change or edit, but you're going to want to see this is your financial plan. How is your financial plan coming together so far? So always double check and make sure that everything in this summary worksheet makes sense to you. And that's because this worksheet is the basis for your final personal life map portfolio final report. So always be checking against this summary worksheet after everything. If you come in here and you say there's something in here that doesn't make any sense to me, follow the link and it will take you to the appropriate worksheet where you can check where those numbers came from. I hope this was helpful for you. If there's any questions that you have, as always, please contact your instructor. Thank you.